Do you know what I'm doing? Make cover on this book. No? Well, I think that it's very inconvenient and cheap. I think so. It's so uncomfortable to read a book with this cover. Oh well. What we have here today is we will talk about Babel. It's about opium, about confrontation between Great Britain and China, about racism, about bullying, about Oxford, what is remind me a little bit Harry Potter. So who loves Harry Potter, probably you would love a little bit this book. About revolution, and I want to mention also friendship, because it seems here friendship is a big deal. And spoiler right away, I don't like this book. You can congrats me, I learned new word. It's half-baked, because this book, I would say, half-baked book. Here it's everything half-baked. Half-baked students, half-baked revolution, half-baked study, half-baked professors, half-baked opposition moving, half-baked idea. I would say that almost everything here for me half-baked, because I kind of okay with this book, but in the same time, I'm struggling with my feelings. Also, I would mention that this book for me is half-baked Harry Potter. I'm not fan of Harry Potter. I'm not fan to read about teens. And here we will see it's about teens. Is this magic world where it's happening in the college, right? Oxford. And John Rowling, who also had idea about Hogwarts, is from Oxford. So when you read in this book, you also imagine this Harry Potter world. Here's about translation, and I'm not fan of translation. For me, it's closer chemist, physics, math, right? And even translation, I would say, is half-baked also. I'm studied in my university Latin also, so here you will find quite of simple words and Chinese. Chinese, I don't know, but who wants to learn Chinese actually? Because I think about to start learn Chinese. Probably first I need to finish with English, but it never can be end of your perfection. But what I like this book is that you can improve your knowledge of history. Here's after try to make history more entertainment, and here you can learn about revolution, about Opium War, about China and Great Britain relationship between these countries, about racism and bullying and how it was attitude in the 19th century in Great Britain to the foreign people. It was really bad attitude there. So here after make accent of the many problems what has happened in the Great Britain, and especially about conflict between Great Britain and China, and how its people was addicted in the China of the opium. As this after showed Britain like a monster. And I don't think that it was so bad, but it's only my opinion. And okay, I just like Great Britain. I've been there. I like it. It's pretty nice people there. What is also my opinion that government in every country is not perfect, and we don't like government, but government pretty often changing, right? So more important it's people and achievement of the country, what it shows how strong and smart country by itself. You wouldn't find in this book so much magic how it was in Harry Potter, for example, right? Because mostly what is magic about is about silver bars, what is certain people can use them and do some magic. That's what is after decided for entertainment, and that it would be easy to read this book. And it is easy to read, and plus you can learn about history. So overall, I would say that book I like, but still it has this feeling that it's something not enough in this book. Plus, I don't like to read about translations, about reading, about studying the book, about college life, right? Especially last weeks I have many books about college life. I don't know how it's happened, but we have it. So I will rate this book 2 out of 5 because it's not my book. In some ways, it seems that two authors wrote this book. One of them was wrote about college life and another suddenly moved to the thriller, right? So I was expect different stuff from this book. And short what happened in the book. So we see that Professor Richard Lowell, he came to the China and he find a boy. At that time it's cholera, so a boy's mother died. But Professor able to save a boy. And he was suggest to the boy that they could move to the England. There he can study languages, it's Greek, Latin, and improve his Chinese. After this study, he can go to study in Oxford. And boy was agree with this proportion. Also, professor asked boy that he need new name, that it would be more comfortable for him to communicate with Britons. His name would be Robin Swift. Robin started lived with Professor Lowell in his house, and also he studied Latin and Greek, and everything was pretty fine. And one day, Professor Lowell was asked him to went with him to the bookstore, and there Robin can find a book for himself. So he chose a book and he started to read this book. He didn't pay attention to the time, and teacher came to their house to teach Robin. He was waiting few hours for him, and when Professor Lowell found out about this, he came and beat Robin for this. And Robin understood that he should pay more attention for the study. After a few more years of the study, Robin was ready to join for Oxford students. There he met with Rami, who is boy from India. Also, he met with Victoire, who is from Haiti, and also lady who is from Britain, and she is daughter of admiral. They pretty fast became close to each other, and they studied together, and they share food together, laugh together, and it was pretty good time. And they were enjoy of company of each other, and also they were enjoyed to study in Oxford, and everything was fine until when he is meet with copy of him, and his name was Griffin Lowell. Griffin Lowell was son of the Professor Richard Lowell and half brother to the Robin. And he also was from the China, and everybody thinks that he dead. Before, Griffin was a student of the Oxford, but he wasn't so talented how it was Robin. Professor Lowell took him from the China too early, and Griffin doesn't have so good knowledge of Chinese how it had Robin. Griffin doesn't like British government, and he decided to join the revolution movement, what is named the Hermes Society, and he didn't so much told Robin about this because he doesn't know so much also about this. They have a goal that they need to weaken British government by stealing silver bars. Students who study in Oxford translation, they usually have a gift, and they can make work these silver bars. And silver bars, they used almost everywhere, that grow plants, that keep your food fresh longer, that clean pollution in London, that make yourself invisible, and many purpose has these silver bars. So it's very valuable, and students who can use them, they extremely valuable. But usually these students, they are foreign from other country, and in that time in Britain they have huge problem with racism. So of course for students who is like foreign, it's not so nice to live in that time in the Britain, and they disagree with Britain, while rest of the world supposed to suffer, and when Great Britain has the best time. So Griffin doesn't know how many people in the Hermes society. They don't know where is like everybody location. He doesn't know what is everyone doing there. He doesn't have so much information, and to the Robin he even less gave information, but Robin anyway wanted to join to this movement. He tried to be closer to other students also, even if their attitude is not so good to him, and they invited him to the wine party, but he understood that they want just to look at him, who is he. They weren't so much respectful for him, and Robin understood that they have different paths with other students. And one time when he helped Hermes society, he almost was caught by other professor, but he was lucky and nobody caught him. After 3 years, they have exams and they passed it. They find out that Anthony, who was their friend and who was studying in the elders courses, that he was dead and that he dead, and nobody care about him, and they will feel weird about this. In the same time, it starts to be a lot of protests in the Britain because silver bars people start using more and more and more. A little bit reminds AI, right? And people started to losing their job, and of course they don't know what to do next, how to feed their families. So they start protests against of silver bars, but of course British government, they don't care about this. After when they pass exams, they have a ball, and they will attend to that, and they're dancing and enjoying. At the same time, they feel sorry and shame because they know that other people they can't drink champagne and they can't drink it. And after ball, Robin find out that Rami and Victoire, they also joined to the Hermes, and they were almost caught, but Robin was helping them, and instead of caught Victoire and Rami, they caught Robin. And their professor Lowell talked to the Robin and asked him, okay, what his next move would be, or he would be with Britain, or he would be like with revolution movement. And Robin was agreed to continue his study in the Oxford and be with Britain. Professor Lowell was asked Robin and his friends to join to his trip to the canton. It's ways from Robin in the China. There Robin, who is the best can speak their language, he will help to make agreement for the trade silvers bars from the China to the opium from the Britain. Robin tried to help from the beginning. Afterwards, he had a small journey around the city where he was born, where he spent some time, and he noticed that there are plenty people who became more and more addicted of the opium. And here the Commissioner Lin, who was asked him directly if he agree with Great Britain that it would be a good decision to the China. And Robin honestly said what he's thinking, that for Great Britain what is most important is their advantage. So Commissioner Lin, he burned a lot of opiums what Britain had in China, and that's how it starts the war. Robert, on the way to the Britain, he killed his father and his friends. They helped to rid off of the father's body and try to cover this murder. So they told all who was with them in the ship that Professor Lowell just sick and he doesn't want to see anybody. So when they came to the Britain, they continued to spread this lie around the householders his and in the Oxford that Professor Lowell is sick. Of course, professors and people who knows Professor Lowell, they would have eventually some suspicious and trying to catch Robin and his friends. Also, Robin found out that it doesn't matter if it will work agreement or no. Britain anyway was ready to attack China and took all silver what they had. When Robin understood that professors know about them, about Professor Lowell, he decided to run with his friends, and here they met again with Anthony, who is alive, and he faked his death, and Anthony helps them to escape to the old library, its place where they could hide for some time. So they decided to talk about everything what they know and what it would be next their plan, and they made a plan, and they already was ready to continue to do something. And here Letty, who is Admiral's daughter, she was disagree, doesn't believe in this Hermes, and she was thought that anyway that would be good. She was sneak from the old library and went to his father and told him everything what she knows. And when they back to the old library, there was someone captured, some killed, and Letty killed Rami. Robin and Victor, they were tortured. They didn't want to tell all information what they know, and also information about Hermes, and also they didn't know so much information about Hermes. And here with Griffin was came to help them escape. There was almost escaped, but Griffin was shooted and he died. Robin and Victor, they're very depressed, and they doesn't know what to do next, but eventually they came with a plan that they occupied Oxford and took all silver bars, and that's what has happened. They came to the Oxford, occupied it. Some students and professors were left because they didn't want to do anything with the revolution. It's very dangerous. And here lives few people. It's Robin, Victor, and a few professors and few students. And here they realize that there's no shower, no almost any food, no almost any water, and they need to stay there days and maybe weeks, so who knows how long it would be. It seems that the British government, they doesn't care so much about silver, even if it's already stopped work many stuff in the Britain. British government decided to send army, but Robin had a plan. He decided to destroy Babel, and he was asked Victor and other professors and students what they think about this. One professor, he was against all this. He left Babel. We know about his destiny that he was tortured about more information that he kept, but he was still alive. And Victor, with another student, she decided that she not against of destroyed Babel, but she wants to survive. And Robin with other his team, they were spread around floors in the Babel, and it was destroyed, and Robin died. And what we know is that Victor, she is in the ship to USA, and she knows that in future not so bright for her, because in USA it's continue to be slavery, and she probably would be slave there, but she would be alive, and here it's okay with her. So when Professor Lowell find Robin, it was during cholera in China. It was 1829 until 1837. The cholera spread from India to Central Asia, Russia. Of course, mortality was very high. Trade routes, river ports were especially affected, right? Because there are plenty of people, and it was even faster spread this disease. And some coastal regions with dense populations suffered large losses. So it was very bad. Good that at least in the book with silver bar, it was Robin was survived. I like this quote. It's Professor Lowell answered to Robin when Robin asked of what I need practice Chinese if I know it already. And Professor Lowell answered, languages are easier to forget than you imagine. once you stop living in the world of Chinese, you stop thinking in Chinese. It's what is you know, right? But sometimes you need to remind yourself, especially if you live in the different country and you are speaking mostly other language than yours. Probably in 20 years, you will have trouble to speak fluently your native language, right? So every language need all the time practice. Even if you speak perfectly some language, anyway, you need all the time practice, because your level of this language would be all the time going down. So that's really good advice. Another what I want to talk is about Robin, right? Professor Lowell make agreement with him. He will give to the Robin roof, meal and clothes, and he will teach him languages, and he will give bright future to him. And Robin, he was agree with this. After this, he was read this book. His teachers was waiting for him, and Professor Lowell didn't like it, and he was extremely angry, and he beat Robin. You want that in the future, this boy would be help you and be patriot of your country. Probably he need a better attitude than just beat him. Of course, it's not acceptable at all. But also Robin, because it's not his father, it's not his relative, it's just guardian. And after when Professor Lowell beat him, Robin was just had this thoughts of that, oh, that's not nice, I will escape, where I will escape, I can't escape anyway. But for me, that's, well, okay, he is one time only beat you, but because you was lazy. And again, we need to remember that it was 19th century, and 19th century, it was a lot of violence to the children, and beat the child, it was okay on that time. I was actually surprised that in the book about 19th century in Great Britain, Robin beaten only one time, and his thoughts about, oh no, he beat me and I will escape, where you will escape, it's nothing there. And mostly people, they are poor and they even don't have food or clothes or anything, and here you have everything. Just like follow rules of this house, and you would be safe, you would have a bright future. If we already start to talk about all this stuff, right, for me it was in general strange that it's so many students was against of the crown and hate British, hate Oxford, because right, there's plenty people who is suffering and you are drinking champagne, right? That's not so nice. But it's always people suffering. It's always. And somebody more lucky, somebody less lucky. Somebody more capable in this life, somebody less capable, somebody smarter, somebody less smart, and you can continue. Somebody really fight for the better life, right? And it's always would be richer than we are. It's always would be poorer than we are. It always would be suffering people around. It's always would be war somewhere happen, because that's how we live and that's our world. And if you would be suddenly start thinking about all people who is suffering, then you can just like cross your life. So for me, it was strange that students who didn't have any degree, that who doesn't know what is Hermes Society at all, but they decided to join different kind of plans and be against of the British government, who is not good, right? But where you see a good government, you to be happy right now. Or you some student who study only 3 years in Oxford, or you some professor respectable citizen of the country, right? And then you would have more power to make this world better if you want, right? If you compare student and if you compare professor, so it's already different power, right? It's already different influence to your country. And here in the book, we see that it's also against of the women, right? And about women is still in our world, it's not so perfect, right? And still its attitude to the women is not so perfect in the world, and before it was even worse. But how we see that women, they try their best, they try to earn respect from the world, they try to show that they are stronger than world think about this. So my point is, if life gives you opportunity to grow yourself, then grow, and then more you grow, then more you learn something, then more you fight in this life, then more you would have opportunity in the future to make this world better. And it doesn't supposed to be like revolution or something huge. You could start just from the small stuff, and afterwards you would be growing, and your impact to the world would be bigger and bigger and bigger. But it always starts from the grow yourself, from yourself, not just like how it was in the book. I was a little bit shocked, and I didn't like it at all. This violence shocked the system, and that violence of the answer for everything. That's not right, that's not good. I'm totally disagree with this, because if you all would be sometimes, of course, you need response with the violence, but and what would be next? Okay, you respond with the violence. Your opponent answer to you with the violence too, and you would be just destroyed each other and destroyed environment around yourself. So that's not nice at all. That's not good. And I think you need to be more flexible and more smarter for this, and have to be flexible and more smart for this. You need to grow yourself. So then more you grow yourself, then more you are study, then more you are fight, then more you would have options to make this world better than it is. So we already talked about women in the Britain, in the world on that time, and I find some more information about Oxford. Right, when it was first woman start to study. So 1870s, 1880s, women were first allowed to attend some lectures. The first women's colleges were founded soon after: Lady Margaret Hall, 1878, and Somerville College, 1879. By the 1880s, women could sit Oxford exams, but still couldn't receive a degree. And the last men-only colleges opened to women in 1974-1979. Some colleges stayed men-only until much later. So we see that because here it's about 1830s, 1840s, and here we see that Victor and Letty, they attend to this special Babel program, right? And here in the book, it was interesting that when women started to attend the college, it was the end of the 19th century. And again, I suggest to talk more about rich men and poor men, because in the book it was talk about that Great Britain supposed to share all what they have to the other countries, because other countries need help and Great Britain are very rich. This country is supposed to share with other countries, and I'm totally disagree with this. If a rich man started to share with everybody his money, eventually he would be poor, and people with who he share his money, they would be poor also. What I love a lot, give a man fish and you you feed him for a day, teach a man to fish, and you feed him for a lifetime, right? And this, I think, it's how it's supposed to be, because if Great Britain start on that time just share all money, all silver bars, how it's in the book with others, eventually they would be poor, and Great Britain would be poor, right? Because they would be just used advantage of the Great Britain, and that's it. And what is next, right? What is more important is to teach other countries how to be in the level with Britain, that they would be all on the level and they would know how to do it, everything, how to make this system that everyone would be happy. Again, it's almost impossible, it's very hard. And if to look global of this, right? But you can start from yourself, and especially Robin, right? He, for example, could be professor or maybe even head of the Babel. Then he could invite more and more students to the Babel and teach them how to live in this world and live happy. And I was laughing a lot when Robin first day in the Babel, and it's right away he meet with Griffin, just like a boy who looks like him. And he already helped him. He already joined this rebel movement, right? And especially that the conversation, it was epic, I think, because Griffin, he was just like, okay, join to the Hermes Society. And Robin, okay, tell me more about this. And Griffin just like, I can't tell you anything about this. You supposed just join. And Robin starts asking more and more questions, what it is, how many people there, and everything. And Griffin just like, well, you just have to believe me, and have to believe because they're just like half brothers to each other, because they're similar to each other, and that's why Robin believed Griffin. And Robin just like, what it is? Griffin just like, I can tell, just join. And Robin just like, okay. Okay, it's my first days in Babel. I don't know anything here. I don't know how it's work, what it is. I don't know anything about here, about the strategy, about how many people, what is there. I don't know about how they're going to change the world, how they wanted to stop the war. I don't know anything about this, but this guy looks like me, so I would say yes. I don't know anything also about Oxford, about professors, about people in the Oxford. I don't know about this, but I will tell yes. And in my opinion, Robin is the worst rebel, like worstest rebel from all rebels what I was read before books, because he is half-baked rebel, right? He is just like, okay, he didn't even think through of this, but he just like was agreeing to join of them. And afterwards, he just like, no, it became too dangerous and stop looks like a game, so I quit. And afterwards, again, like, okay, I'm actually join because my friends join, so I will join too. Well, my friends die, so I killed everybody and myself also, because who cares about world? Who cares about my life? Nobody cares about all of this. Robin is a character who is, I can say that he is good or he is bad. I would say that he just doesn't have enough experience in the life. He is not smart enough to do some decision in the life. And even more how we see in the book that a person who is not have experience enough, who is not adult enough to the situation, who is not smart enough, they could be dangerous, right? Because how we know war it wasn't stopped, but he destroyed this knowledge, these experiments, what it was for decades. People was learn this, was working for this, haven't sleep nights, haven't eat food for this, and he just like was like for this great, his idea just destroyed it. And I would say that Robin is more negative character than positive. And who was part of the Hermit society, how we see it's students who never graduate, who is young guys who was weak to the system, who was not so smart to the system, right? And they decided to quit, steal silver bars, and for some huge idea what is in their head, right? And I was actually happy how it was end the book in some way, because this revolution doesn't supposed to be successful at all, because it's just like some boys who doesn't have any experience, so they decided for the great idea, for the greater goal to do some stuff, and of course it was obviously from the beginning that it would be turned not good for them, and probably not good to other people, because we see in the book that other people who is not government at all, they were suffering. Government was fine, but they were suffering. And here it was actually Leti, she was talking about this. Let's say try to find this. Who is my favorite character was here, it was Leti. Even if she was Rose in this book and she was kind of soft, I was like to read about Leti because she was seems for me the most adequate character in the book, and even to the end I was totally agree with her when she was listening these little boys how they try to stop the war and change the world. I totally agree with her that she just like listened and just like, no, I can deal with this. And she just went to the government and just tell government everything what she knows, because she knew that it wouldn't be turned very well anyway, right? And that's what is she's saying. They are going to destroy their own city. It's Robin asked Leti when Leti said, okay, you have to surrender. It's not any point to fight further, because here's the army and you anyway will die. Do you think Parliament cares what you destroy? Those men aren't bothered about what you are doing to Oxford or to London. They laughed when the lights went dark, and they laughed when the bridge fell down. Those men want the city destroyed. They think it's grown too big and unbuilt already, that it's dark. Squalid slums are overriding all its civilized boroughs. And you know it's the poor who will suffer the most. The rich can ride out to the country and stay on the summer estates where they will have clean air and clean water until spring. The poor will die in droves. Listen, you too. The people who run this country care more about the pride of the British Empire than they do mild inconveniences, and they'll let the city collapse before they bow to the demands of what they see as a handful of bubblers. So that's what I'm totally agree with her, and about all the situation, I think is gold words, gold sentence to the many who did revolution or something. And you know, it's the poor who will suffer the most, because rich ride out to the country and stay on their summer estates where they'll have clean air and clean water until spring. And that's what is happening in the book. And I even thankful to the author that she shows this side of the revolution, because mostly who is suffering is poor. They would be that way suffering, this way suffering, they would be anyway suffering, right? And somebody of them would be lucky, somebody of them would be more capable to reach something, to grow something. It's very individual, but usually rich people, they're first who could escape, who can manage their situation to the better, right? But mostly who would suffer is poor people. And here what is happened, mostly suffering poor people. Last, what I want to talk about how they killed Professor Lowell, and afterwards they told everybody that he is sick, and it was fine in the ship, right? It's better to say that he is sick, and afterwards they were for my opinion, right, that they tell that he sick and he went to the city to do something. And that was fine, but when they continued to spread lie to the professors in the Oxford, to householders, I think that's what was a problem, because for what to say anything that he's sick, when they recognize that it would be a lie, instead, for example, to say that, like, we don't know, he was sick in the ship, and afterwards he went to the town, and we don't know what has happened to him. We haven't seen him. We are worried too. Where is he? We love him, and blah blah blah. You can like saying something like this, and that's would be much more chance for you that probably they wouldn't connect his disappearance with you. So for me, what else you can say about all their ideas and how they think through, that they even this small problem they even couldn't think through, right? So because it can be like managed much more easier than they did, because they did like kind of in the hard way. In case if you're wondering, it was 2 Opium Wars. First was 1839 until 1842. Between China and Britain, and it was started because millions of Chinese became addicted of the opium, and because Britain had huge demand for Chinese tea, silk, and porcelain. So, as a result, we have the China lost actually that war, and afterwards, of course, it was Second Opium War. It was 1856 until 1860, and it was already between China and Britain with France. And with Second War, China lost again. And when it was mentioned in the book about Commissioner Li, it was a real character in the history, right? And he was in the real burned a lot of opium, and that's like how its war is started. So some names and some facts was absolutely true, and about opium, that was many Chinese addicted of the opium, and Chinese government was very concerned about this, and they didn't like it. So it was many facts what was true, and even with the names. So that was interesting to read. In conclusion of the book, I said before, that's a nice book. It's just not for me, because it's a lot about translation, about how it works on that languages or these languages. I don't see any sense to read about this because it wouldn't be useful in my life. I would forget almost right away about this, and it's not so entertainment for me. So for entertainment, it's not such a good book for me. For the logic, it's also not such a good book for me. For the world, it's okay, but I think Great Britain was too dark in this book and too evil. And I'm not sure is it true or not, but it's like seems even people very evil there, and I don't think that all people there are so much evil how it's in this book, because people there are everywhere the same. Someone good, someone not good, but here it was everything shows very negative, and I don't agree with this. I don't like it. Also, I annoyed about students. They didn't graduate, but they already had these big plans, big idea, and I think it's typical for the young adult people, right? Because they want changes. They're very maximalist people. What I enjoyed read in this book, it's about history, about what it was happened in the history, and in general, it was a little bit more closer for me Chinese and Opium War than it was before, right? So that was interesting to read. For people who love historical fiction and fans of Harry Potter, probably you would enjoy also to read this beautiful book. So thank you that you watched my video, and if you want support on my channel, please subscribe and left your comments about this book. Are you agree with me? Are you not agree with me? What do you think about this book? And see you on my next video, next book.